Where's Johnny? You're gonna need a big approach. Why so serious? Roll out.
I am Iron Man.
This is a tasty burger.
Welcome to the In Session Film Podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to Chasing the Gold podcast. I am Erica Richards, and I am here with my lovely, lovely co-host.
Yes, I'm Shadan Larkey. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm excited to. So today we're going to react to the Golden Globes nominations, but first, Shadan, I have to tell you why I look so tired, even though you already know. I am exhausted because I stayed up last night, of course, to watch the last show of the Eras tour. I can't believe it's over. Are you in denial?
How are you feeling?
I'm in denial.
I have been struggling a lot because I'm like, well, it just didn't happen for me. I didn't get to go. But I feel like if somebody did get to go, they would feel even worse about it. I don't know about it being over.
It doesn't. So here's how I feel. I feel very lucky that I was very fortunate to go to 2 shows. Humble brag for a minute, but I also am very much in denial. I don't feel like it's actually over. I'm still clowning for many things. For Rep, for debut, I'm clowning that I don't think this is the last official show. I think she's going to do maybe a surprise show or something. I don't know. Also, staying up and watching it. I also stayed up and watched it because I was like, well, who am I kidding? I was never not going to stay up and watch it. But also, I mean, if she was going to announce something last night, if she would have announced anything, I would have been so upset that I missed it. So I felt like I had to stay up because I wasn't going, if I woke up to something that I missed, that was going to be more devastating than anything at all. So
do you think that she's gonna do an Eras part tour? Maybe once all of the re-records are out and her next album is out, maybe she'll just do an Eras tour and then just keep changing it. You think there's or you think it's just gonna be something else?
I think it's gonna be something else. I think there will be a behind the scenes documentary, which I'm so excited for.
And they said there was a crew, a film crew with her in Vancouver. So they're definitely filming something.
Yeah. I mean, if you've been watching the past, since they came back from overseas, this part of the US, and I'm pretty sure the night I was in Miami, there were signs around that was filming, cameras filming, blah, blah, blah. But definitely in Vancouver, their cameras are on her differently. And there was this special camera that went around the whole stage, like a robot camera. So that was different. I don't know. I think there's definitely going to be a behind the scenes documentary, which, oh my God, give me all of it. That is my favorite thing ever. Because I'm just so obsessed with production and how things come about, all the behind the scenes of it all. I don't know, dude. I don't think she was way less emotional than I thought she was going to be, which is why I just have this feeling. Well, even before that, I thought this can't really be the end. But then after seeing her and not be super, there was more shows that she was more emotional at than last night. And I just feel that's odd. I don't know. She seemed more excited than sad, which is weird. I don't know. It was just it was wonderful, and the surprise songs were everything. I'm glad I, if nothing else, stayed up for the surprise song. I mean, I watched the whole thing, but
wait, what were they?
Oh my God. Okay, so on the guitar, she did A Place in This World, and so because she's been doing mashups, she did A Place in This World, and hold on, I want to get them all for you. I don't want to get them wrong or mix them up. Okay, she did A Place in This World and New Romantics on the guitar. Then on the piano, she did Long Live New Year's Day and the Manuscript mashup, which was everything. Wow. It was everything. I'm going to send you a tweet right now.
Can I just say, I love how, and before we started recording, we were talking about what an accomplished person you are, which like
Oops.
that is not a brag, but then you're like, humble brag, I went to the Eras tour twice.
That is what I'm is that sad? That's what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, you're like, I'm more willing to brag about my Taylor Swift bona fides than my like actual life accomplishments, which are incredible.
Oh my god, stop. You're too sweet. You're so funny. But truly I do feel like that is more accomplishment than anything I've ever done. Oh man, that's funny. Anyways, you people are not here to hear us talk about Taylor Swift.
Yes, although I will say we should do like a pop culture predictions for 2025 episode. I feel like that would be really fun.
Everyone today is like, do you think she's gonna get married? And I'm like, can we, like, it's not about that right now, whether she does or not. Like, I just want her to be happy. That's all I care about. I want her to take a little break, and but that girl does not know how to take a break. So she's already working on something, which is exciting. But I do want her to take a little break. I want Harry Styles to come out with his new album so that he can do a tour and that I can go to that. And yeah, that's my 2025 predictions.
Okay. Well, maybe we don't need a whole
No, I'm kidding. We should definitely do one. But yeah. But the real reason why we're here today is to like we said, react. So what's your like knee-jerk like first reaction from, because I will tell you just really quick, the only like thing that I watch live of like nominations is Oscar morning. Like Oscar nominations morning, I wake up and I like tell people at work, I'm like, leave me alone. I have to watch this right now. Like nobody interrupts me. This is like my freaking Christmas morning. Okay. But I don't really do that for other like nomination days. Like I kind of just like see them when they come out. So like, how do you feel about this one? Were you just like, oh, whatever, I'll see it whenever? Or do you like keep close eye on it or what?
No, I typically have like Golden Globes, SAG, like any and all. I will set my alarm. I'll make it a thing. But I'm very, very ill today. I have a sinus infection. So apologies if I sound, I don't feel very good. So I probably sound that way. But I did want to show off my little snowman tee. So no, I set my alarm and then I think it was 6:15 my time. So then I was like, I'm not in a position to do this, and I went back to sleep. But I will say all credit to the Golden Globes, because I feel like this year's nominations were very like good across the board, and I was surprised. I feel like when Will and I did our predictions episode, a lot, because some of our picks were a little bit cynical of like, oh, they're just gonna nominate so and so, and I feel like this year it seemed like they actually watched things, and maybe the love was spread across a good number of films. I don't know, would you agree? I feel like I liked what I saw this year.
Yeah, there was some things that I was like, oh, good, that made it, like, but again, I feel like I've seen a good amount of things on this list, but not all of the things. So it's like, again, I still feel like I don't know if I can make my full, like, reaction, but that's why we have you. Because you've seen.
We'll get you there, Erica.
Yeah.
We'll get there before Oscar Sunday. Don't worry. I do want to say real quick, because so Will and I did a Will Be on our Join Me. We did a predictions podcast, and not to toot our own horn or anything. Speaking of like humble brags, but I think we both collectively did really well, which is weird. Because I'm like,
you did.
Either the Globes have become easier to predict, or we just got lucky and called some things. But we did refer to the Globes, or I think I did a couple times, as the HFPA. And I do want to clarify that the HFPA does not exist anymore. When the Globes sort of did their restructure, the HFPA dissolved, and the Globes now, like I was speaking to a Globes voter, and she was telling me that they like went through and vetted every voter and made sure that nobody had any connection to any studios and all that kind of thing. And I feel like especially since the Golden Globes have sort of restructured themselves, we are seeing that reflected in the nominees, and sort of like maybe not movies that you would take more seriously, but I just feel like they've evolved into a much stronger organization. So I just did want to clarify that. I do apologize for that mistake. And
we forgive you. We forgive you.
Thank you. Erica is the arbiter of like if I should be punished or not.
Never.
Yeah.
No, but I do agree. I was just telling you that I listened to your guys' episode today. And I was impressed. Well, because then I already, today was the day that the nominations actually came out. So I already knew like how you guys fared in your predictions. And I was impressed. I thought you guys did really well.
Well, thank
So
you.
yeah,
I should mention, Erica, also that today is what is today? Today's December 9th. Shortlist voting for the Oscars also starts today. So it's
Ooh,
really
that's exciting.
interesting to see like whether certain movies doing really well on Golden Globes, like is that going to make a difference since they're doing shortlist voting right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like is that
Yeah.
gonna
Do
is
you
that
think
gonna
it will?
impact anything?
Do you think it
Maybe.
will?
I think
Yeah.
something like the substance doing really well is gonna bode well for like that film doing really well in hair and makeup, right? Or
Yeah. It did what? The Substance got 5 nominations total, I think
yeah.
it was. Yeah, which you know what? That I didn't realize that one was streaming already. I need to watch that.
Yeah, I would love to have you back and tell me what you think about that movie. I do want to read off real quick. Should we
Yeah.
just read off the nomination totals?
Yeah.
And I should say, in honor of the most nominated film of the year, EMILIA PEREZ, I do have my EMILIA PEREZ shirt
I was going
on.
to ask you what your shirt was.
So thank you so much for the swag, for the EMILIA PEREZ swag. And it came in handy because I was been
That's
wearing this all
awesome.
day. So EMILIA PEREZ leads with 10 nominations. Then we have The Brutalist with 7, Conclave with 6, Anora and The Substance both have 5, Challengers, A Real Pain, Wicked, and The Wild Robot have 4 each. A Complete Unknown has 3. And then All We Imagine Is Light, The Apprentice, Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, I'm Still Here, Inside Out 2, and The Last Showgirl all have 2 nominations. So I feel like that's a good like spread the wealth.
I was just gonna say, they spread the love, and they did. So yeah, I agree. Okay, so we're gonna start kind of backwards, right? So we're gonna start with Best Original Song in a Motion Picture. Should we read them all off? Do you want to read them off?
I'll let you read this one off because it's a lot of names.
Okay. Okay, so Beautiful That Way from The Last Showgirl. Music by Andrew Wyatt. Compress/Repress from Challengers by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who I love. I'm a big fan of theirs. The Social Network is like one of my favorite soundtracks ever, or scores ever. Is it El Mal from EMILIA PEREZ? Music by Clement Ducal and Camille. Forbidden Road from Better Man. Music and lyrics by Robbie Williams, Freddie Wexler, and Sacha Scarbeck. Kiss the Sky, The Wild Robot. Music and lyrics by DeLacy, Jordan K. Johnson, Stefan Johnson, Maren Morris, Michael Pollack, and Ali Temposi. You're right, there's a lot of names at this one. And Mi Camino by EMILIA PEREZ. Music and lyrics by Clement Ducal and Camille. So a lot going on here.
Did anything stand out to you in terms of like what surprises or what you think might win?
Well, okay, I have a little bit of a confession to make. I started EMILIA PEREZ, and you ever like start a movie and realize you're not in the right headspace for it? Like
all the time.
Okay, good. That makes me feel better because I started it fully with the intentions of like, okay, I'm watching this right now, like, and I started it and I maybe got 15 minutes in and I was just like, I can't right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, this is not the time for me to watch this. So I turned it off. I don't remember why. Like, what exactly? I just knew I wasn't in the right headspace. I was just like, I'm not rested enough to pay attention to this and, like, fully be like immersed in it, if that makes sense. Thank goodness we've talked about it so much and that I knew that it was a musical, because I think that would have totally thrown me off if I went in blind. I would have been like, am I watching the right thing? Like, what am I watching? You know what I mean?
Well,
But
Erica, when I saw it at TIFF, I had no idea it was a
I
musical.
can't
So,
even
like,
imagine.
I wish you were with me to see like the expression on my face. Like I was like looking around, being like, did I was like sitting at the right movie? Like I was like genuinely confused. Like the first time somebody starts.
Right. Well, and it's like, it's just like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I like how different it is than what you expect it to be, but in the same way, I can see how it could be so like startling. Like, yeah, if I would have been in the audience, I would have been like, did they mean to do this? Was this supposed to happen this way? It's like, it is a movie that you have to prepare yourself to watch, I think. And that was even just like the first 15 minutes in. You know what I mean?
And this is a
Um,
really interesting point in general. I'm glad you actually had this reaction because I feel like a lot of people have had this reaction. Like
People
it is
are
a
gonna
very
turn it off. Yeah.
divisive. It is a very divisive film, and like it's gonna do well with the Golden Globes because it's an international voting body. But like
Mhm.
I keep asking myself like, is it gonna do well at SAG? I mean, I think it's a shoo-in for a SAG Ensemble Award at this point. But like
Mhm.
I have to wonder at what point the divisiveness is gonna come in or if it's just not
Yeah.
going to come in at all. I mean, we do have like Green Book as the best picture winner, so I guess sometimes the divisiveness just doesn't
But
matter.
it's divisive in a different way, and
Hmm.
where, like, I think something like Green Book, like, you know, people our parents' age and, like, the older generations and just the average, like, popcorn movie watcher can watch something like Green Book and be like, "Yeah, that was great. Like, I loved it. Yeah, it was cute," or whatever. Somebody like that is not gonna turn on Amelia Perez and watch it. They're
Mhm.
just not. They're
Mhm.
not. So it's divisive in a different way. All that being said, I turned it off not because I didn't like it or I just knew I wasn't in the right headspace to watch it. Like, I knew if I watched it, I was gonna be like, I didn't give that the time and dedication and attention that it needed, for whatever reason. I feel like I don't maybe was I can't remember what I was doing or why I was, like, distracted a little bit, and I was just like, "I can't watch this right now." And
Yeah.
not in a way that's like, "Oh god, I can't watch this, I'm turning it off and never" like, I'm gonna go back and watch it. I just it needs to be the right space and time and the right day.
But I think
But
again, like accessibility matters. Like, okay, so if you're a voter and you're sitting with like your whatever of screeners, digital, whatever, like Conclave is an easier watch than Amelia Perez, right?
yes,
Or you're
yes.
more likely to want to watch Wicked than you are The Brutalist,
True.
I think, because The Brutalist, like you have to be tuned into what they're doing. Same thing with Amelia Perez, like you have to be on that wavelength.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, like, is that gonna make a difference for people or not? And particularly with Best Original Song, so they have these 2 songs that they're pushing
Yeah, 2.
from
Yeah.
the movie, and El Mal is my favorite of the songs in the movie, period. I think that's the best number in the movie, but I do wonder if having the 2 is gonna cause a split. So that's what I'll be watching for here. And then, like, if it does cause a split, I'm not really sure what direction they would go in.
Mhm.
'Cause, I mean, maybe Ross and Reznor just because their name. I don't really none of the other songs really stand out to me. Maybe the Robbie Williams song just because he's beloved in his own right. I'm not really sure, but it's interesting that they've really committed to having both of these songs, campaign both
Yeah,
songs. Yeah.
and that they both made the nominations, yeah. I mean, for me, I don't know, like, Better Man, like, I haven't have you seen that?
I haven't, and I have to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm gonna get past the CGI monkey, like doing because
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if it's nominated and I have to if I, but yeah, because even
It's what
watching the trailer, I was
yes. Again,
put in
you're
a
like,
weird headspace.
is this weird? Is this what they meant to do? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Um, yeah, same. I will just say, like, I love The Wild Robot so much, and I know we talked about that
Yes.
extensively, and we both loved it, and you
Mhm.
were the one that told me, like, "Oh my gosh." So I think I would love to see it pull off something like this, I think that'd be really cool. And then Beautiful That Way from The Last Showgirl, like I still haven't seen that either. So I don't know. This one's like a toss up. I feel like it could go
So
a
that
bunch of different ways.
takes us to score, which is an interesting category because you have
Mm-hmm.
Hans Zimmer for Dune Part 2, which Dune Part 2 massively underperformed today, I must say.
Yeah, yeah.
Only 2 nominations, which
Do
is
you think
crazy.
what hurts that is how, like, it seems like it was released, like, that seems so far away to me, you
I
know?
don't know, but you would think that a Denis Villeneuve nomination would have been just like an obvious place to just be like, yeah, right? Or maybe the fact that it's I think what hurts it is that it's a part 2 and they know that there's another one coming, right? And I
Mhm.
wonder if that's going to be an issue with Wicked as well. Like, I wonder if
Yeah.
it's like the Lord of the Rings thing where it's like they waited until the third one. And I wonder if that's hurting both Dune
Yeah.
and Wicked, or maybe it doesn't
Right.
matter at all. So,
Right.
we have the score from Conclave, which is a fantastic score. We should mention Volker Bertelmann won for All Quiet on the Western Front,
Mhm.
and then Daniel Blumberg. He's my current front runner for the Brutalist. I love that score, and I think
Yeah, I remember you
so.
guys talking
so
about that.
So what's important to mention about the Hans Zimmer score for Dune Part 2 is that it's ineligible for the Oscars. So he's not going to be part of the Oscars conversation at all, which is interesting that he showed up here. And then we have Reznor and Ross for Challengers, which one of the best scores of the year, really deserves to be here. And then the score from EMILIA PEREZ as well. So it'll be interesting to me where I'm like, okay, are they going to try to predict the Oscars and go with The Brutalist? Are they going to try to go with like Chris Bowers, who is just, a big, much beloved figure in the industry, absolute genius, won an Oscar last
Mhm.
year for a short film. I'm super interested in this category. Like, I have no idea which way it's gonna go.
I have no idea. You know what's so funny about Conclave too is like I enjoyed it as a whole so much more than I ever thought I would. Like truly. Um yeah, I don't know. I think the best part of I'm gonna get slack for this, but I think the best part of Challengers is the score. I didn't love it as much as some other people did. I just felt really kind of disappointed by it otherwise. Or kind of just like, yeah, I guess disappointed is the right word. But I think the score is the best part about that film. So I would love to see that do well there. Um, yeah.
I
What is
will
your
say Conclave had a great day today. Fantastic. I would say at this point it's probably top 2 or top 3 for best picture right now. And to what we were talking about, I think it's so accessible. I think if you're 65, you can watch Conclave and really
Yep.
like it, or if you're 25, you can watch
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it's just interesting and it immerses you in that experience, which is just unique in itself. Um, and there's like real drama in it, and which is why I think like everyone's interested in it because it's like what's gonna happen, you know? Um,
and the
yeah.
kids are memeing it on the internet and memifying it or whatever. Like it's
Oh my god,
having a moment.
I think I've told you this before. My favorite thing to do after every new movie I see is immediately go to Letterboxd and read all of the top liked reviews. And some of them are so funny for Conclave. Like you don't have Letterboxd, right?
I should go on it. This is a
You
terrible thing
should.
for a person who films
Well,
a awards
the good thing
podcast.
about it, no matter what, is that because like sometimes I'm like, no, I've seen that movie, and then I'm like, wait, have I? And then I go to my letterbox and see if I have or not. So it's just like a good way. It's like Goodreads, but for movies, you know, and it's better than Goodreads, honestly. But no, so it's just honestly, it's my favorite thing to do. If nothing else, you should just go there and read all of the top like reviews, the top like reviews because they're always hilarious. Um, so yeah, I mean, okay, so what is your final? I think I my gut tells me Challengers. I don't know why, but it does.
I think they're gonna go with the Brutalist. I think they're gonna try to
Okay.
predict what the Oscars are gonna do and go with the Brutalist.
Okay. Okay.
or Conclave, because that's an international composer that they like. I feel like
Right.
who I want to win, to be honest, though, is Chris Bowers, just because I love him so much. And, like, I think he's, 33, 34?
Oh,
literally a
wow.
prodigy, just an insanely
Wow.
talented human being.
That's awesome. And obviously we love The Wild Robot, so there we are. Okay, so that takes us to screenplay. We have Emilia Perez, Nora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, The Substance, and Conclave. I love this category.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of really good stuff in here, even though I've only seen 2 and a very little bit of one of them. I'm so excited for A Real Pain. I feel like that's one that, like, it wasn't flying under the radar. I feel like it was, I remember seeing previews for it a long time ago, but I'm excited that it's doing as well as it is. So I can't wait to finally see that. And I know you've seen it. So I don't know, what are you thinking here? Because you've seen all of these.
Yeah, if I were to be honest, I don't think the Emilia Perez screenplay belongs here, because the screenplay also includes the songs, and I don't think the songs are very good.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I would not have nominated that here, if I'm being completely honest. But I mean, I think The Substance getting in here is super interesting. I've said all along I was never sure how well The Substance is gonna do. But it's clearly being embraced, which is really interesting. So I really need to rethink my Oscar predictions. I'll be doing. I need to do like a complete overhaul of my Oscar predictions at this point.
I was gonna ask you that. I was gonna say, is it after these nominations, are you gonna go back and change your Oscar prediction?
Oh yeah, I think, like I said, I think Conclave is like a lot bigger of a player here than what we're anticipating. And The Substance, I think, maybe not in screenplay, but if it's not in my top 5, it's like number 6. Like, I think it's right there. I would say Sean Baker for Anora, but the thing is, Anora is a very, like, American story, and I wonder if that works against it here.
Right.
And I don't know how big they're gonna go for The Brutalist. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know how sometimes in like certain movies will do really well at the Globes, and then by the time the Oscars roll around, like, the momentum has just shifted elsewhere.
Right.
I don't know if this is gonna be one of those years, or maybe they just give it to Jesse Eisenberg because he's like an actor that they like, which I really like. A Real Pain is one of my favorite movies of the year, and like, not to sound cheesy, but as you guys know, listening to this podcast, cheesy is my brand. Like, it fixed something in me because I went and saw it right after a big national event that has happened recently, and I was in a certain place of mind, and I went to see A Real Pain, and it sort of just like made me grateful to be like alive and like, and I feel like it's just very rare that a movie can do that. But I mean, so the plot of the movie is 2 cousins that they take a trip to Poland because their grandmother wanted them to like see her homeland and everything, and they go to like a former concentration camp, and just seeing like these images and the way that these 2 men are wrestling with this really made me be like, okay, like, you're on this earth for a finite period of time. Yes, XYZ could be going wrong, but like, you were on this planet for a reason. I don't know, it really, I'm a very cerebral person, obviously, if you can't tell, and I think this just really like touched me in a way that I wasn't expecting. I thought it was just gonna be like a buddy comedy road trip type movie, and it has so much meat to it. All of that to say, I really love that movie, and I would be really happy if it won.
I love that. Yeah, I can't wait to see that one. It does make me excited. Okay, so what does your gut tell you for this one?
For screenplay, I'm gonna say The Brutalist. I'm gonna say either The Brutalist or Anora. I just feel like they're gonna try to predict the Oscars, which brings us to Best Director, which such a one of the most fascinating categories. Would you agree? Because we have Jacques Audiard from Emilia Perez, Sean Baker for Minora, Edward Berger for Conclave, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, Coralie Farjat for The Substance, and Payal Kapadia for All We Imagine As Light, which I have to say is a beautiful, beautiful movie that no country, for whatever dumb reason that I will never understand, picked as their international submission. So it's not going to be in play for Best International Film. I think she could be, I would say, more so for screenplay than director, which is interesting that for the Globe she got in for director and not screenplay. But I just really love that movie, and there's so much passion behind that movie. So it's interesting, though, that I feel like, you know, we have like Emilia Perez, Honora, Conclave, and The Brutalist feel like the big four, right? For most of these. So like maybe they'll split. So maybe they'll go like Brady Corbet for for director, and then maybe for screenplay they'll go to Sean Baker, or they'll give Coralie Farjat something for The Substance. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a split. I don't think they're going to do.
So really quick though, can I ask you, All We Imagine As Light? That's one that like I haven't really heard about until like the past couple days. Like that wasn't even really on my radar. So
I know. So it's about this, like, it's a very female-centric story set in India. And I, you know, and I think what's interesting is originally, and I do think, unfortunately, hopefully I'm wrong, but I feel like our 5 director lineup at the Oscars is going to be all men. I just have that feeling.
Yep.
So I'm really happy to see Coralie and Pale break through here.
Okay.
Because that
all right.
was two of the biggest surprises of the whole day for me, I think. I was not expecting that.
Okay, perfect. But yeah, we think it's going to be probably... So you think either Sean Baker or Brady Corbet?
I think so. I think they're just going to split screenplay and director, but I don't know which way.
Okay.
Like, I feel like maybe, and I think based on these nominations, I feel like the voting is going to be pretty split. Like, yes, Emilia Perez got 10 nominations, but I could see a world where our winners are pretty split across. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think they, like we talked about earlier, they've spread the love enough that I think it's not going to be like a dominant year for one thing. Like you said, even though Emilia Perez has gotten 10 nominations, like we've seen, you know, more nominations than that in previous years. And it's not like, I mean, we don't think Emilia Perez is going to win the 10 things it was nominated for, right? I mean, like, so I think it's going to be, and honestly, I think that makes it more fun to watch, like, as a whole, like, just the whole thing, you know? So, okay, we are now on Best Performance by a Male Actor in a Supporting Role in Any Motion Picture. So we have, I hope I say this right, Yura Borisov for Honora, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice, and Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2. What do you think?
I mean, how mean can I be? I feel bad. I don't want to be dragging certain films. Okay, I will say I love Yura Borisov and Honora. One of my favorite performances of the entire year, and I have been worried about him all season long because I was like, what if, you know, they're focused on Mikey Madison? What if the men don't make it in? And I'm so happy that he showed up here. He's been doing well with a couple of the critics groups that were announced, which we'll get into in another episode. So I'm so thrilled. Kieran Culkin, my current front runner to win the Academy Award. Guy Pearce, I mean, I think I think this is his first nomination finally. Denzel Washington is my favorite part of Gladiator 2. Same. Whenever did you see Gladiator 2? Yeah. Literally, when he was like not on screen, I was like, "Where's Denzel?" Like I was like,
and also the best thing is that he is the best part of it, and he's also just having so much fun. Like he is, like Denzel, the person, is having so much fun in this role, which is, I think makes it better. You know what I mean?
And I don't know
yeah.
about you, Erica, but what impressed me about it was I forgot that I was watching Denzel Washington.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times when I'm watching like an iconic actor, it's always
Right.
like, oh, I'm watching so and so give a performance. And for me, I don't know if I was just like so enthralled by what he was doing, but I kind of forgot like.
Oh, I still felt like it was Denzel, but I totally get
Oh,
what you're
really?
saying. Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
get what you're saying.
Um,
Because we talked about that with other actors before. But no, I still think he's the 100% the best part of it. And I would honestly, that's who I want to win in this in this category. Just because I loved him in that so much.
I would not be mad. But listen,
Yeah.
so now it gets complicated because I have to be honest with you and with the podcasting world that I really did not care for a complete unknown. I just
Yeah, I could tell.
I
I could tell that from your
yeah.
podcast with Will, because you also were saying with that you felt like Timothy Chalamet was Timothy Chalamet giving a performance. You didn't really see him
And like
disappear
I
into the role.
love Edward Norton. Like Edward Norton,
Yeah.
I as a person, you can say whatever you want, but like as an actor, he's somebody that I'm always really fascinated by. And I was
Mhm.
not the performance. I was like, is this a good guy? Is this a bad? I felt like he didn't even really know what kind of character he was playing. It was a very strange performance, in my opinion. So now I'm kind of concerned because my favorite supporting actor of the year is Clarence Macklin, who is one of the biggest snubs of the morning. No Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing. So now I'm thinking, like, is there a world where Edward Norton gets in and Clarence Macklin doesn't get in? Or if Edward Norton were to make it in, who misses here? And we should mention, so the sixth nominee is Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice.
Did you see
Which
that?
I did, and I
Yeah.
think even outside of the subject matter, I just didn't really like it as a movie. Like it was just a very strange movie, and like I didn't like. I think as the movie went on, both Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong kind of grew into the performances a little bit. Sebastian Stan more so, but Jeremy Strong, I just did not care for that performance. And if you know me at all, you know that Succession is literally my favorite show of all time.
Oh
I've
my
seen it
gosh.
all. I've seen it all the way through. Like I don't even know 4 times already. So for me to say like I'm disappointed to see a Jeremy Strong nomination, I never thought those words would come out of my mouth. But I don't know. And it's interesting because with The Apprentice, I didn't know. I think Will and I talked about this on the podcast, but I didn't know if awards voters would be willing to touch it. You know what I mean? It
Right,
seems like
right.
it's a very charged film, comes with
Yeah.
a lot of baggage. So to see nominations for both Jeremy and Sebastian is interesting. And no, I don't think either one of them is going to make it into the final Oscar 5. But I just wonder, like, okay, like I said, if Clarence Macklin, like who misses here for Clarence Macklin to make it in? Or are we just not going to see Clarence Macklin, which would crush me. So
Yeah. I mean, do you think Yura Borisov is gonna make it for get in for the Oscar? Do you
I think if Honora is gonna be, if we're thinking of it as like a strong contender for actress, a strong contender for screenplay, directing, you know, potentially something like production design, editing, like I don't see how he misses. And I think like he and Mikey Madison, the sort of scene that everyone's talking about, they're very tied together. But I think the same thing is true of Sing Sing. Like to me, it's like I don't really understand how you watch Sing Sing and go, oh, Coleman Domingo is really good, but then I'm not gonna nominate Clarence Macklin. So maybe there's a world where he still misses. I don't know. And it is a very quiet performance, which is why I'm happy to see it in here, because normally you would think a showier performance like a Jeremy Strong would, you know, I don't know. So I was super disappointed in this category, long story short. Very disappointed.
Okay. Okay. What about best performance by a female actor in a supporting role in any motion picture? We have Selena Gomez for EMILIA PEREZ, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for the Brutalist, Margaret Qualley for The Substance, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Emily Perez.
Yeah,
This is
super
kind of
fun.
like it's kind of what I thought it would be, except for the
Mhm.
substance, because I don't know enough. Like, I have, been seeing a lot of things about it, but based on your guys' predictions too, I feel like this is pretty
Yeah. Well,
accurate.
like I remember when I watched The Substance, I was like, well, everyone's talking about Demi, but Margaret Qualley is really good. So I'm happy that she made it in. I think it's a worthy nomination.
Yeah.
I'm kind of having the same thoughts as like because Isabella Rossellini, to me, she's not in Conclave very much, but like
Right. Right.
she keeps showing up. She's
Yeah.
done very well with critics so far. She's done well.
Yeah.
Obviously, showed up here. So I'm kind of like, to me, I would say Ariana Grande and Zoe Saldana. I feel very good about.
Yeah.
I guess Selena Gomez at this point, I would say she's in there. Felicity Jones, I feel really good about, because if we're thinking a movie is like, a top contender,
Mhm.
I feel like she makes sense. She's the previous nominee. So
Mhm.
then, like, and then we should mention one of the biggest snubs of the morning. No Danielle Deadweiler for The Piano Lesson. No Anjanou Ellis Taylor for Nickel Boys.
Mm.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who do we take out and who do we sub in if we're thinking about, the Oscars on Oscar morning?
I mean, maybe Isabella Rossellini, like you said. I just don't think she's like enough. I mean, she's good, right? It's Isabella Rossellini, but like, is it enough for it to be an Oscar contender? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's one of those, a big question mark for me, is how far she's gonna go. Because I've been
Right.
perplexed by that. Because I think even the screen time breakdown is like 8 minutes, 6 minutes, which we've seen
Yeah.
nomination. Don't get me wrong, we've seen it
Yeah.
before. She's an
Yeah, but
icon of
that's for like
cinema.
Anthony Hopkins and Silence of the Lambs,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
not this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I, of course, am still on my Wicked high. And with I just like okay, so if do we want a Wicked count how many times I've seen it thus far right
Yes.
now?
How many times have you seen it?
4 times.
Oh my
I've seen
God.
it four times so far. And it's just like truly every time I'm just more and more swept away by each of the performances there with Ariana and Cynthia. Like, they just truly, like, it gets better every time I watch it, honestly. I don't know. I don't know. I've drank the green elixir, I guess. But I would love for Ariana to win here. I would love for Cynthia to win um in the other category. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll
Well,
see.
I think Ariana, she has the easier pathway. Like, I do think, because I think the Amelia Perez, they're gonna split their vote.
Mhm.
I think the substance, like, maybe not strong enough to win here. Like, maybe Coralie Farjat is a stronger. We'll talk about Demi Moore in a second. But like,
Mhm.
I feel like it makes sense. Like, if you're gonna award Wicked something, this just makes sense as the place to award it.
And it just
And I
has
think,
such good momentum right now. I just
yeah,
like I can't imagine it not. You know what I mean? Like,
and
I can't see it not going that way.
yeah, and we'll get to Cynthia, but you want to talk about a stacked category, my God. But before that, we have to get to the men. This is my
Yes.
favorite category of all of the Golden Globes. This category
Yeah.
made me so happy. First of all,
Yeah.
because not to be that person, but I think I got maybe 5 out of the 6.
You did.
And
I
then
think you did.
I was a troll, and I was like, well, of course they're gonna nominate Ryan Reynolds, and like, why do they need to nominate Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool? And I was so ready for that to happen, and I was gonna be so upset. But
Yeah.
I think this is just perfect category. Like, perfect. Thank you to the Golden Globes. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Jesse
Yeah.
Eisenberg for A Real Pain, fantastic performance. Hugh Grant for Heretic. Erica,
Which you brought up. I know, you brought it up.
I love this movie. Like, I love this movie.
I need
I
to
thought
watch it. Is that streaming?
I
I'm gonna look
I
it up
don't
really
think so.
quick.
I think it's still in theaters, but I had so much fun with this movie, and like, I love movies that deal with religion, and I just think this movie is so interesting and fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Gabrielle LaBelle for Saturday Night, which I will say Saturday Night did not have a great Globes morning. There was room
It showed
for
up.
it to be better.
It showed up more than I thought it would. To be honest with you, like I had honestly, I had completely forgotten about it.
Yeah, but I think he's fantastic, and I think he really carries this movie. Jesse Plemons for Kinds of Kindness, great nomination. Did you ever end up seeing Kinds of Kindness?
You know, I didn't, but it was funny when I saw that today. I was like, oh yeah, I should watch that. I still haven't seen it.
I think you'd be okay not watching it, but I think Jesse Plemons is really, really, really good. And then you have my fellow Longhorn, fellow Texan, Glenn Powell for Hitman. Just
Love this
chef's
nomination.
a
Love this
chef's kiss of
nomination.
an
Yes.
listen, I love when the Globes do this. I love when the Globes are like, here's an actor that's hot right now. Let's anoint a new star and give. I just love this. So like,
Yes.
good on them. And then we have
I was so excited when I saw that. Yeah, sorry.
And then we have double nominee Sebastian Stan, and this time he's in for A Different Man, which I should say is absolutely the stronger of the two performances. And if we should be having a conversation about Sebastian Stan getting in at the Oscars, it should be for A Different Man. Disappointed not to see Josh O'Connor here. I feel like he would have made sense in here somewhere, but I can't fault any of these nominees. I think it's so good.
Yeah, it's a great category. Okay, so do you have like a final prediction of who you think is going to win that category?
I
Though?
think Jesse Eisenberg, just because A
Okay.
Real Pain is the strongest film of all these films. You know what I mean? So he just makes sense. Like if they're like, okay, we can't give you screenplay because we're gonna give it to Sean Baker. We can give you actor so that you still have something. You know?
Right. Okay, now to the big category. Best performance by a female actor in a motion picture, musical or comedy. Our girl Amy Adams for Night Bitch. Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. Carlos Sofia Gascon. Am I saying that right? Gascon. For Emilia Perez, Mikey Madison for Honora, Demi Moore, The Substance, and Zendaya Challengers.
Oh my god. I love this category. And listen,
It's a lot. It's a lot here.
We talk about Night Bitch every single episode. I'm sorry. But okay.
I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
But like here's the thing. I understand that movie is not for everyone, and I understand why. But as I've said multiple times, that movie is very much for me. I love that movie. And I understand that this is not going to be the movie that gets Amy Adams her Oscar. She's not going to be nominated, okay? Like, I've come to terms with it. It is what it is. So I'm glad to just see her show up and get this recognition for a truly an amazing performance. Like, even if you don't like that movie, okay, she's undeniably fantastic.
We just love Amy Adams. Like, you should never be upset to see Amy Adams anywhere on any list for anything. Yeah.
And I mean, Zendaya and Challengers, like, she is so magnetic in that movie. Like, literally, the point of that entire movie is how magnetic she is. So, like,
1000%.
It makes sense. Demi Moore for The Substance, she is incredible. Mikey Madison, A Star is Born moment for her for Honora. Carla Sofia Gascon, she is just so talented and amazing in Emilia Perez, and a lot of the conversation is around how historic these nominations are for her. Rightfully so, I get it, but I do not want that to take away from how good she is. I just want to make that very clear that, like, yes, she's making history and all of that is fantastic for visibility, but it's also just based in a performance that is really, really, really good and would be awarded regardless.
Well, and this is, that's a good point to make, because hopefully one day this historic nomination has to happen so that one day it's just a normal, like how we say, we don't want to be saying like, oh, female directors. No, we just want to be saying like the directors, right? Like, it's the same kind of thing where, these historic things have to happen first and somewhere, somehow, so that it can be the norm at some point. So
yeah. And I mean, Cynthia Erivo, like, it's so, I don't know if I told you this, but my friends and I, we were talking about like so, you know, sometimes some of the stuff she says in press can be a little bit weird or whatever. And I was saying, like, somebody that talented, she could say whatever she wants. Like, to me, it's like, when you're as talented as Cynthia Erivo, you could, I don't care. Like, I think she's like
1000%. Yeah.
a generational talent, and I think so much of what works about Wicked would not work if it was a lesser actress doing what in that role.
1000%. Is she possibly going to be the youngest person to ever EGOT if she does? Did I read that
How
somewhere?
old is she? How old is she?
Oh shoot, let me look it up.
Because what the youngest is John Legend was the youngest?
Maybe. She is 37. I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like I read that somewhere. I could be wrong, but
she would be the youngest. So the youngest
Okay.
EGOT winner is Robert Lopez, and he was 39. So if she were to
Okay.
EGOT, she would be the youngest.
Because is she only missing an Oscar?
The Oscar, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm?
Yeah. It could happen. I don't know. It could
Here's
happen.
the thing, though, in terms of the Globes, is I don't know. I think the like easy pick would be Cynthia Erivo, but if we think about it, Wicked could have had. It didn't get John M. Chu in for director. Jonathan Bailey was a prediction that I think Will had made. A lot of other people had made. So there's a version of This Morning that could have gone better for Wicked. And I wonder if, like, again, Carla Sofia Gascon, an icon in Spain, we should say, like, she's very well known. And then you have, like, Demi Moore with this amazing comeback narrative. You have, again, Mikey Madison and the opportunity to sort of anoint an ingenue. Like, I don't know. I don't actually think I think she might not win. Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like again, haven't seen all of these performances yet, but I think I'm just still so stunned every time I see Wicked, which again, if we're counting, I've seen it 4 times so far. Okay, so what does your gut tell you? What do you think is gonna happen here?
I'm gonna say Demi Moore because I think The Substance had an incredible morning, did way better than anyone was predicting, and I think there's just something about that narrative of Demi Moore winning a Golden Globe that I think, like, I think because so many people just might think it's Cynthia, and like, if they're gonna give box office achievement to Wicked, probably, like, I just think there's other areas for Wicked to be given a prize. So, like, maybe they don't feel like Cynthia needs to be. I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know either.
But I'm gonna say Demi Moore. I feel like 45% sure.
Okay. I think. Okay. Yeah. I think it might be Cynthia. I don't know. Maybe it's just because that's what I want to happen. But I also could see Mikey Madison winning. I don't know. I feel like Honora still is
a big deal.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to take us into actor for
So
drama?
I think, and tell me if you feel differently, Erica. I think this is going to be our Oscar 5 plus Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. No offense to Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice, but we have Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Daniel Craig for Queer, holding down the representation for queer Daniel Craig all season long. Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, the only nomination for Sing Sing, my villain origin story. And Ralph Fiennes for Conclave. Is there an actor that you think could break in here, or do you? I just feel like that's our Oscar 5.
I agree. I agree. I feel like this has been one that has been like consistent for a while now. Like, this is what everyone's talking about. I don't really think there is going to be a surprise here, right? Like, this is what I think is going to happen.
And I think Timothy Chalamet is going to be our winner because I think the Globes have been looking. I think the Globes. giving him, they love, I mean, it's a biopic. He's a young, hot actor. I think they've been looking for a reason to give him something for a while. I think it's gonna be Timothée Chalamet.
Okay,
Now,
I like
again,
that.
you know who I would vote for, but I
I
think it's gonna
know.
be given, yeah.
I'm
So,
really excited to see Sing Sing because I still haven't seen it. I think when we were talking about it a long time ago when you first brought it to my attention, I was like, oh my God, yeah, that's playing at the Charles Theater, in Baltimore, the little indie theater that I love to go to. And I could not get there. I could not make it to a show. It was also like weird show times. And I'm so excited that this is going to get like re-released nationwide in theaters, and that just makes me really happy because it'll just be more accessible to more people, which is always the goal,
yeah.
right?
I will say, so I have mentioned the underperformance of Sing Sing multiple times. I don't think it's gonna hurt it in the long run. I still think it's gonna be. I do think Clarence Macklin is gonna make it in. I still think it's very strong and adapted screenplay. I do think it's gonna get a Best Picture nomination. So it's a shame that the Golden Globes aren't on board. Same thing with Nickel Boys. I think Nickel Boys is still gonna end up doing very well. I think it's peaking right at the right time. I still think Danielle Deadweiler is going to be in for the piano lesson. One performer that I did want to mention is Saoirse Ronan. I think we started the season thinking she was going to be a double nominee in actress and supporting, and now it's looking like neither of those two things are going to happen for her.
And I love her.
Super disappointing. Yeah. So I'll try to think of more snubs to be angry about as we continue with our episode. But I do want to wait. I did actress, so you can do drama actress. Fascinating. Oh,
Okay.
this category.
Yeah, so here we have Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl, Angelina Jolie for Maria, Nicole Kidman, Baby Girl, Tilda Swinton, The Room Next Door, Fernanda Torres, I'm Still Here, and Kate Winslet for Lee.
I just want to say that I think both Will and I saw
You did, yeah.
Kate Winslet thing
You
coming.
did. I was very impressed.
And we should mention she's also a double nominee. She got nominated for The Regime on the TV side, which completely floored me because I forgot about that. And then like Tilda Swinton was one where we were like, is she gonna make it in? So I was
I remember Will talking about that. He had her on his list. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so the big snub here is Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths. No Marianne Jean-Baptiste, which is very sad because she is so good. But Fernanda Torres, again, like that performance is so good. And she's a huge international icon. Pamela Anderson, like that is something that we predicted, but to see it actually come through is exciting.
Yeah.
Who's gonna win that? I have no idea who. Like my gut says like maybe Pamela Anderson because they want to create like a moment. But then I'm
really
like,
cool, yeah.
I feel like Angelina Jolie, like she's Angelina Jolie, and I feel like or maybe just Fernanda Torres because again she's such an iconic international star, and you have those voters who I don't know.
Right.
I really don't know. This is another huge head scratcher for me.
It's another very strong category for sure. Yeah, my local AMC has started releasing showtimes for Baby Girl and I think The Last Showgirl coming up, so I'm excited for both of those. Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, and it's Pamela Anderson's first Golden Globe nomination too, which is really cool. Because I feel like again she's just one of those people that's been around and underappreciated for so long. So really cool. All right, shall we move on to international, or shall we non-English language is what the Golden Globes call it. So we have All We Imagine Is Light, Emilia Perez, The Girl with the Needle, I'm Still Here, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, and Will called this, I was so impressed, Vermiglio, from Italy. Yeah, so super interesting. I think so. If All We Imagine Is Light is not going to be in contention for the Oscar, potentially we're looking at our Oscar 5 here.
And why is that not in contention again? They just didn't submit it?
So it has 3 countries listed It has USA,
Oh.
France, and India, and neither France or India decided to pick it up as their official submission, which Emilia Perez had. I mean, Emilia Perez is from France, so it makes sense that France, that's what they picked. But I don't know why India. Well, I guess I do know. I guess they didn't go for it for political reasons, which is a shame. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think just in terms of international feature, Girl with the Needle is very strong. I'm Still Here is very strong. Seed of the Sacred Fig is very strong. And Emilia Perez is very strong. So we're looking at
Yeah.
one kind of up in the air slot there. So
Yeah. I mean, do we feel like Emilia Perez is like pretty solid in this one? Okay.
Yeah, I think the Golden Globe is engraved, the Oscar is engraved, whatever other statues, they're ready to go. They're just waiting for somebody to pick them up.
Yeah. So next we have cinematic and box office achievement, which is really, I loved how Will said this. This is just like the popular award, which is fine. So we have Alien Romulus, Beetlejuice, Deadpool and Wolverine, Gladiator 2, Inside Out 2, Twisters, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. I just think if we're talking about engraving things, just give it to Wicked, right? I mean, am I super biased, or we're just giving that to
No.
Wicked? Like Wicked, none of these films can compete with Wicked in this category.
And I do want to take a second to talk about Wicked with you, because what I think is
Always, please.
and I may have brought this up with Will, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself. But in my own personal life, I don't have as many people that are obsessed with movies the way that I am. And what I find so interesting is those people in my life that literally go to the movies once every 5 years have gone to see Wicked.
Yep.
Even people that like didn't go to see Barbie because they were like,
right.
I don't, you know what I mean? Like have gone to see Wicked. It's fascinating to me. Like it's captured the zeitgeist in a really interesting way. And I don't know if that's go ahead.
It was funny because like I said, I was listening to your guys' podcast today, and I think because I think you said something like you were kind of surprised for it doing as well as it is, or something like that, something along those lines. And I think he makes a great point. That's like something that is so, like, you have people like us, right, that are like film and theater people. Like I would consider myself someone who loves to go to the theater, loves musicals. Obviously everyone here knows how obsessed I am with Wicked, just in general. But I think what's cool about this is that so many people already know about Wicked, just because it like he said, it has existed on Broadway for 21 years now, and something that iconic to be made into a film and for it to be so well received, and I love like all the videos on social media where it's like families that are going together. Like I saw this one where it was like, it was clearly like adult children, so like people probably our age or around our age, and their parents, and they go into the theater and it's like, this is me before Wicked, seeing Wicked or whatever. And then it was funny because it cuts to the dad and he's like, this is me before Wicked, whatever. And he's like, wait, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. And he's like, and this is just the first part. Like, and he's not like being rude. He was like, I didn't know what I got myself into. Right. And then of course it cuts to like the, this is me after Wicked, and it just cuts to him and he's like, that was fantastic. And she's like, okay, Dad, but you have to say like, this is me after Wicked. He's like, oh, this is me after Wicked. That was amazing. That was, so I love that it's just like, it's fully just like grabbing people, and like it just makes me so happy. So yeah, you can't not give this one to Wicked. I mean, it's written in the stars.
Well, here's
already,
my question for you.
Yeah.
Because I've still only seen it the one time, unfortunately. I haven't had a chance to go back to the movie theater. Like, what has stood out to you on like 2, 3, 4? Like, is the experience different, or is it just like, oh, I get to experience it again type of thing?
It's both, right? For me. So for me, it's like noticing more Easter eggs where it's like, oh, I didn't pick up on that before. Which I love. I love doing that with any film that I rewatch. But it's also, I mean, we all know I talked about how I cried the first time during the Ozdust Ballroom scene during and then of course during Defying Gravity. And I will tell you, every single time I've gone to see it, it has brought me back emotionally in that way each time, and I have cried each time. It's just, I think it's so powerful, so emotionally powerful. But yeah, just noticing, you just notice a lot more, right? Like, because I think the first time you see it, you're, for lack of a better term, like overwhelmed, right? Like it's like you're trying to take it all in and you just can't because there's too much to take in, and you want to like see all the things and you just can't. So it's like fun to like watch it multiple times and like just notice different things or see different things. Like, it was funny this time when I was watching it, there was like in Munchkin Land in the beginning, like you're seeing those like houses that they live in and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is giving very um going back to Taylor Swift here, very much surprise song piano vibes, like just like the way the flowers are on like the wooden cabins of like, and I was just like, oh, like this is very Taylor Swift of them to do this. um so you just notice different things, which is really fun to do with any film that you rewatch, like I said.
That's the most Erica Richards that Erica Richards has ever made. She managed to tie together Taylor Swift and Wicked. I'm hugely impressed. Okay, so I have another question.
Yeah.
As
Okay.
a movie buff with an official
Yes.
movie degree, how do you
Yes.
feel about the fact that all of these cinematic and box office achievement films, because even The Wild Robot is based on a book, so none of these are based on an original idea. How are we feeling about this? Because I feel depressed.
Yeah, same. Tyler and I talk about this all the time. Like, can anyone come up with new ideas anymore for anything? And this is where it's just like, also, there's so much independent film out there, and it doesn't get enough exposure, just in general, right? And I just, as much as I think this like achievement award is a cool thing, because something something like Wicked, for example, in this instance, like doing so well, it, like, I love that it's going to be recognized for that. But what sucks is, like you said, none of these are original ideas or something different or new, or a lot of them are sequels, right? Which I know you and Will talked about too. So I think specifically for this category, it's always going to be something like this, where it's based off something, because for something to do well in the box office, it has to be something that people already kind of know about, right? So like people aren't going to run to the theater to see something that they haven't really heard of or heard good things about. So yeah, it does make me a little sad.
Well said.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to animated, because I think that our Oscar 5 are in this 6. So we have Flow, which has done massively well with critics over the past week. Major critics prizes. We have Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail. I think all three a lock. Moana 2, which is, as I mentioned last week, a huge surprise overperformance at the box office. Exploded over Thanksgiving. We have Wallace and Gromulus, and we have Fowl. I'm sorry. So Wallace and Gromulus, Vengeance Most Foul. Okay, that's one movie. And then we have my beloved The Wild Robot. So who misses here at the Oscars? I think it's going to be, it either has to be Moana 2 or Wallace and Gromulus. Like, one of those two has to be the one that gets left off.
I don't think Moana 2 will miss. I don't. I don't. As someone who, like, I was not at all surprised by the box office like explosion of Moana 2, because I think it's just because at this time in my life, I know so many children in my life, and I know how much these children love Moana. And I just know that it's like, people want to get their kids out of the house. It's cold out. They want to, okay, yeah, let's go see the new Moana movie in theaters. So I'm not surprised at all how well this did. So and it's also, it's Disney, right? Like, I don't think it's going to miss.
So Disney will have 2 Two horses,
Yeah.
nice. That'll be interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but I think the Wild Robot's gonna win all of it. Like, I don't think maybe that's just me being blindly optimistic, but I think it did so well and people loved it so much. I think that it's gonna win. That's what
I
I
think
think.
you're right, but I think Flow is gaining a massive, massive amount of momentum right now.
Have
So
you
that'll
seen
be
it?
interesting to see where I haven't,
Okay, yeah, I haven't either. Yeah.
I want to because I've heard really good things
Same.
about it. I need to hunt it down and
Same.
find it. Yeah, I really want to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
All
so we
right,
are
we're
down to
in our
our
final two.
yeah, final two. Okay, so best motion picture, musical or comedy, we have Anora, Challengers, Emilia Perez, A Real Pain, The Substance, and Wicked. Obviously, you know what I think about this.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Wicked is gonna win because I think
Yeah.
it's just gaining momentum at the right time.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
for me, I would say like Wicked's haul would be probably this, Ariana, and Box Office Achievement. So like 3, and then maybe Cynthia,
Yeah.
so 4. But I feel
Yeah.
like
I mean, and that would be the 4 that it was nominated for, and it would win all
Yeah.
the ones it was nominated for, which would be interesting.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, do you think, given the love for Emilia Perez, like, do you think they're just gonna give it to Emilia Perez? Like, they clearly
No.
loved it. So like,
yeah, but I also no, I think Wicked is gonna win. No, I just think Wicked has so much more like visibility than Emilia Perez. Like, I don't know. I just don't see how it loses in a musical category. Like, how could it?
Erica's love for Wicked has brought out a side of her that I've not seen before.
Shadan, I've literally been researching like witch hat tattoos. Like, I'm trying to figure out which one I want. Like, that's how my obsession
Oh my
has
gosh.
fully taken over.
No, I do think Wicked, and especially like, I don't know, I think if they're trying to like predict the Oscar, I mean, maybe Anora. Like, the thing is, I feel like
Yeah.
Anora and Emilia Perez are sort of waning as Wicked is surging. Like, it'll be interesting to see while voting is happening. Maybe something will flip, but it just feels like Wicked is having such a moment right now.
Right.
That it
Yeah.
feels a bit undeniable. Okay, so I get to talk about what I think is, again, one of
Yay!
the most fascinating categories of the entire evening. Because we have The Brutalist, we have A Complete Unknown, again, musical biopic, Timothée Chalamet, both very obvious. Conclave, again, fantastic morning for them. One of, I think, at this point, top 3 contenders for Best Picture. We have Dune Part 2, which, as we mentioned, only 2 nominations. So it gets drama and it gets score and absolutely nothing else, which is a huge head scratcher of how did we get here. Then we have Nickel Boys. Only nomination for Nickel Boys today is for drama. No director. Ramel Ross has been doing incredible with critics' prizes this past week. Not at the Globes. Again, no Ingenue Ellis. No screenplay here. And then we have September 5, which, if you don't know, so September 5 is a journalism movie. It takes place kind of during the Munich Olympics and the hostage crisis that happened there. And certain people in the Oscar prediction industry have had this movie sort of winning Best Picture for a while. So this movie was a huge head scratcher for me because I was like, for a while I was like, does it even exist? Like, it took me a really long time to try to hunt it down to even find this movie. And then I watched it, and like, I don't think this is a bad movie by any means. Like, I went to journalism school. I love journalism movies. Peter Jennings is in a character in the movie, quote unquote. And for those of you, fun fact, Peter Jennings is the reason I went to journalism school, like one of my heroes growing up. So, but the movie is fine. Like, I would not go any further than just to say this is a fine movie. Why did they nominate it for picture and nothing else? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's like you said, I feel like this is really an interesting category because there's some really obvious things, right? Like The Brutalist, Conclave, even A Complete Unknown, which, you know what? I didn't even think about A Complete Unknown being a drama and not musical, but I guess it's not a musical. I don't know. I was just like pondering that for a second. But then, like you said, these other 3 films are barely mentioned anywhere else in all the other categories. It just seems like they kind of, I don't know, like thrown together this list kind of. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily make sense to me.
Yeah, I wonder, like, were they in a position where they were like, well, we have to vote for September 5 for XY reason because there's politics, or we have to vote for Nickel Boys because it's a masterpiece, whatever, blah blah blah. I just don't understand. And like,
is it because it's a drama? It's a drama specific category, and it's like, oh well, like we gotta take it really seriously here for the drama category. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, like, and also I just have to put it out there. If you've seen September 5th, September 5, and you feel differently about it, let me know, because maybe I'm just missing something. And again, I don't dislike this movie, but like for people to feel so strongly about it, when I'm like, but Spotlight, like, you know what I mean? I just feel like I've seen the journalism drama before, and this doesn't do anything that those didn't do. I'm very perplexed by this, Erica. Like, truly, actually, this was the category that, like, I had the biggest reaction where I was just like, what? Like, especially because I saw Nickel Boys and drama, and I was like, oh, okay, that means Ramel Ross is the director. Nope. That means Anshu Ellis finally got it. Nope. Like, it was
Right. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So I think maybe, do you think there's a world where they go for the Brutalist, but then they don't give it like actor, or they don't give it screenplay? Or do you think like if the Brutalist was gonna win drama, it would win elsewhere as well? Or do you think there's a world where it wins drama and nothing else?
I think what's more likely to happen is like drama and screenplay, right? Like for it to stay like on that side of the, realm and not win anything else.
Or is there a possibility that they go for A Complete Unknown and Chalamet and pair those two?
Maybe that would, I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Because it's Bob Dylan, the only songwriter in history to have a Nobel Prize. So I don't, and it's so funny because I was at the screening for A Complete Unknown, and one of the critics goes like, well, they're gonna nominate it at the Globes because they want Bob Dylan to come. And I said, oh, you mean the Bob Dylan that didn't show up to pick up his Nobel Peace Prize is gonna show up to the Golden Globes? Like, yeah, that's very obviously gonna happen.
Oh my god, that's funny.
I mean, I don't know. But then if you think about The Complete Unknown, like there's areas where that could, like, it could have potentially gotten one of its supporting actresses in there. So like there's a version of A Complete Unknown that would have done better. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with The Brutalist, but yeah, this is like the biggest head scratcher of like.
I think this, or could Conclave get it? I don't know. I feel like Conclave has been doing really well. I think it's one of those 3. I think it's one of those 3.
Yeah. Because well, actually, and Conclave, like Conclave did. I think Conclave also makes sense. But then I'm like, well, if Conclave, they clearly liked it, why didn't they nominate either Stanley Tucci or John Lithgow?
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
It's kind of
It doesn't make sense.
It's kind of weird because if we think about it, like every movie missed something. You know what I mean? Like nobody hit. I guess technically EMILIA PEREZ hit everywhere it needed to hit, which is interesting.
True.
Because then I'm like, are we underestimating it? Because we're saying, oh, it's not gonna win, but I'm like, maybe Carla is gonna win. Maybe it is gonna win. I mean, it's obviously gonna win song.
Yeah, and non-English.
But then are we underestimating it in other categories? Like if they loved it enough to basically check it off everywhere they could.
Yeah. I don't know. All I know is I'm excited. It's award season. We're officially talking awards.
Yes.
It's very exciting. I just, these next few months are going to be really fun. I can't wait. We're going to just have more and more to talk about. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that you told me that the shortlist for the Oscars is, you said that's happening today. That happened today, right?
It's this week. All this week
this
is
week.
shortlist voting. Yeah. So I'll be interested to see, like I said, does that bode well? And I do want to mention, so the Golden Globes are going to be January 5th, so right at the start of the new year. And two things I want, because we have gotten feedback for our episodes, which is amazing. So tell me, did you see September 5th? Did you like it? Did you see A Complete Unknown? I feel like Timothée Chalamet stans are going to come for me. I really like him as an actor. I really
love
do.
him.
I just couldn't. Because I just keep seeing things where he's like, he disappears into the role, and I'm like, but does he? I don't know. I don't think so. But
yeah, I'm excited to see it for myself and see what I think, because like when I think about Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, I feel like they completely disappear into those roles completely, like so much so. But then you and I felt differently about Denzel, right? Where I was like, oh, Denzel is having so much fun up there, and I like fully was like Denzel, right? But I don't know.
Well, have you seen Erica? Have you seen Walk the Line?
Yeah.
Okay, so I like unapologetically love Walk the Line. Like that is, I rewatch it every year at some point. I just love it so much. And like that was one of those movies where, like, to me, Joaquin Phoenix like is gone in that role.
I agree.
And it's funny because Johnny Cash is referenced multiple. And for those of you who don't know, it's directed by the same director, James Mangold.
Oh.
And so Johnny Cash is referenced multiple times in A Complete Unknown. There's like, you could almost call them like sister films.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so it's really interesting. Maybe it's my own expectations, but I just think one of them is miles better than the other one.
Okay.
But this is where you watch the movie and you're like, what is she talking? Or like, what if you like finally watch Sing Sing and you're like, this is the movie that this girl has spent a year talking about?
No, I will not feel that way. And I respect every cinephile's opinions. Unless you think Wicked, unless you think Wicked's not gonna win for a musical, because then you're wrong. You're just wrong.
Oh God, I was like, what a nice thing for Erica to say, and then
No, but truly, like, we all have the things that work for us and the things that don't, and that's what makes movies so fun, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So. Yeah. All right, Shadan, where can the people follow you? Have you I still have not, I was thinking about today is Blue Sky. I'm like, shoot, I need to do that. Have you been using it?
I have started to build my community, but I have not gone. I need to go on it more. As I mentioned to you before we started recording, I'm still getting most of my news from X, God help me. So I need to figure that out very quickly. I am at Shadan Larky everywhere. ShadanLarki. I would love the follows. I love when people will tweet about the or say like, oh, tell us that they've listened. I think that's super awesome.
It's so fun. Yeah. And I'm eRock Reviews on X. And I'm still not on Blue Sky, but I will let you know. Maybe I'll look that up right now. Maybe I'll look that up right now and see about it. So
yeah, that'll be, Erica, your next live update for me is like, how many times have you seen Wicked since the last time we talked, and have you joined Blue Sky?
Yeah, those are the two things I'll follow up with you on. So but thank you everyone for listening. Of course, follow In Session Film wherever you can follow us, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. And yeah, is there anything else we want to remind the people about, Shadan?
Just rate and review us, because that helps us in the algorithm, helps people find us. So if you could do that, that would be awesome. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm clearly losing my voice, but thank you for bearing with me during
you did great.
Illness. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Yeah, bye.